Sort of a Greek look to it. It's because it's later and you've got some influence from Hellenistic culture. But let's go inside. So again, this is a later synagogue, but it's a big synagogue, and it's something of what a synagogue would have looked like in the time of Jesus. As you notice as well, if you're attentive, is that it's facing Jerusalem. So you can see in the distance over there, the Sea of Galilee, so it's facing towards Jerusalem. Now, what we have over here is, and this is a replica, but it's a thing called the seat of Moses. And I'm sure you recognize that. Jesus talks about it. And this would have been the place in the synagogue where the teachers would have sat down and taught with authority. So I invited Ali, who's our speaker, to come and sit here, but he declined. I'm not sure why. There is. Nah, you guys can come and sit. So, anyways, there. Still today in synagogues you have this seat of Moses, and in one of the meeting rooms in the place we're staying they also have a synagogue, and they have a seat of Moses there, so you can go and have a look later on. So we're going to continue reading about what Jesus says to his contemporaries. I'm going to read from Matthew 23. That's where Jesus talks about this seat of Moses. This is what Jesus says. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat." So that is this thing. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. So that is, they're teaching with authority from the seat of Moses. But do not do what they do, Jesus says. For they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make the phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. So that's one of these prayer shawls. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So Jesus has quite sharp words for these contemporaries of his, those who belong to the party of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, so the scribes, the learned people, the people that have been to Bible college, essentially. And it was saying that they love this seat of Moses. They love to sit and teach with authority. They love the attention, essentially. They love to be greeted. They love to be seen as respectable. They love to be the guest of honor and all of that. But despite them teaching the word of God, they're not actually caring about how people live or about people's spiritual lives, because they add burdens to them. So again, they're just missing the point. And I think actually, when I came here, it was a great challenge to me, because I think quite a few of us are from quite respectable churches, where we sometimes do care more about being greeted with respect than actually ministering to people and helping people in their spiritual walk, in the walk with God. So it's a great warning to us, and I think that again is one of the reasons why Chorazin might have rejected Jesus. They were simply too religious. They simply cared too much about the outside, but had no actual interest in what's underneath and actually ministering to people. So it might have been that they disagreed with Jesus about sin, they disagreed with what Jesus had to say about them, and we're going to go on to see as well what the last thing might have been. But do take a few minutes if you want to have a look around here, and we'll head in 5 minutes time.